Hello everyone, it is Jay, and today we're going to be opening up my original Xbox. I opened it up about a year ago, and I want to open it up again to see how dirty it is, so I figured I would do a video on opening up the original Xbox. This console was probably my favorite console to come out of the early 2000s. I had a whole bunch of hand-me-downs. I had Super Nintendo, PS1, and I had the PS2. After the PS2, my parents had bought me a Xbox original, and I was just astounded about how futuristic the interface was at the time. So what we're gonna do today is just take it apart, look at it a little bit, and make sure it's all clean and tidy and put it back together. So let's just jump into it. Okay, so I have this console on this pad, basically a mat, so that way the top doesn't get scratched. It really doesn't matter. It's a very old console, but I just love the way the console looked. It was very unique for its time period. I just want to make sure that it stays relatively clean and, you know, okay, and not scratched up that much. So what you want to do is turn it over. After you turn it over, like I said, I've already taken this apart, so things are a little messed up. You're gonna have a screw here in this label. Probably can't see it, but I will try to zoom in that way you can. You're gonna have a screw here in this other label. You're gonna have one screw here, another screw in this back over here, you can't really see it, another screw here, like I said, can't really see it, and another screw in the corner right there. So the tools that you'll need are a Torx 20 and a Torx 10. So let's just take it apart. Okay, so after that's done and everything is taken out, you're going to want to flip it back over like this, and the top should just come up. Whenever opening these things, you want to kind of open it where the CD drive kind of starts. It's a lot easier. And here we go. You'll have the CD drive here and the hard drive here. Once you undo this ribbon cable from a little clip right here, there will be a Torx 10 and another Torx 10 at the bottom here. I know you can't see it, but there will be one right there. So you just unscrew those, take the drive out, and away you go. You want to be very careful with this. I didn't have a screw grabber, so the screw's still in here. It's unscrewed, but just be very careful if you don't have a screw grabber. From here, you'll unplug the ribbon cable, like so. And then after you unplug the ribbon cables, you'll have another cable here down the side. Just unplug it as well, like that. Then from here, there's a little clip that holds this cable, and you kind of just want to move the cable out of the clip, and there's the hard drive out. Okay, so side note, you can take this hard drive out if it ever needs to be replaced and replace it if you want to. I don't really need to replace it. It seems to be fine. There are mods out here where you can throw like SD cards and shit in there. For the most part, I'm okay with this hard drive. It's fine. Okay, so from here, there is another Torx 10 in the corner here for the CD drive. And the CD drive just kind of pops out after that. There will be a yellow cable here, so you just want to unplug it. And there goes the CD drive as well. So here you have your ribbon cable, plugs into the CD drive as well as a hard drive, and then you have the cable for the CD drive here. So this actually doesn't look that bad. It still looks fairly clean for whenever I cleaned it up last year. There's really no dirt to it. So you can take the board all the way out, which is something that I really liked about this system, because it's a lot harder on newer systems to take it all the way out. There are screws here in the board that are Torx 10 that you can just find. There's little holes right here, and you can easily take the whole board out. Now there are different iterations of the motherboard. It goes from 1.0 to 1.5, and then it jumps to 1.6. I have the 1.6. The 1.0 to 1.5 are the most modded ones, but they do have a clock capacitor problem here that would leak all over the board, and the board would get destroyed. So I would prefer the 1.6, just due to the fact of the clock capacitor, but if you want to mod, then get the 1.0 to 1.5 motherboard. But just be very aware of the clock capacitor that would leak all over the motherboard. So from here we have the power supply right here. It's very easy to replace. It has a few screws here in the board. You just unscrew them, take them out, unplug it, and put a new power supply. The power supplies aren't expensive. They're about, I would say, about 20 bucks. They may be cheaper now, to be honest. So if you want to get a power supply, you can. Like I said, this is still pretty clean, so I'm not going to really clean this up too much. There's really no dust anywhere. I guess that shows you that I kind of just collected this thing. I got it from a friend who gave it to me for Christmas, but I wanted to relive my childhood with the OG Xbox, and he decided to give it to me. So what we're gonna do is put it back together and call it a day. Whenever you put this back together, you always want to make sure that you plug everything back in the way it was. One thing I did forget to mention is these CD drives do go bad over time. I believe this one was changed out at one point. They're not that hard to replace either. A few screws here, unplug it and put it back together, and that's it. They're actually pretty cheap online as well. They're not that expensive to replace the CD drive for the Xbox. So once you have the CD drive lined up, you just screw it back in with the Torx 10 bit. Once you have it screwed in, put the hard drive back in. Not a big deal, super easy. I wouldn't make a big deal about taking these things apart, really. I mean, you can find parts for them relatively cheap and easy. Alright, so once you have everything back together, plug in the ribbon cable. Got the ribbon cable plugged in. So once you do that, take your Torx 10 bit and put the screw back in. Once you have the screw back in, clip the ribbon cable back into this clip here, and from there all you have to do is put the cover back on, put the screws back in, and it should work. And here, now you have the original Xbox. If you ever wanted to fix the power supply, the motherboard, the disk drive, or the hard drive, then there you go. It was taken apart, put back together. I just wanted to make sure that it still was clean and it looked good on the inside, which it did. But that is where I'm going to end it today. I wanted to just, I don't know, play around. I wanted to make sure that the system was clean, and I just wanted to make a video on it. So if you like my content, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all later.